Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday Tier Talk. We have a great show for you. We've got plenty to get through tonight. We're going to be talking about the managerial situation at Bayern Munich. We're going to be talking about the Carabao Cup final. We're going to be talking about a Premier League preview. We're going to be talking about a Champions League review. And we're going to be talking about this man beside me, my partner in crime, Dazzler, the new Lazio fan. We're going to be talking about his little trip to Rome and how he got on at the Lazio Bologna game.
We just had a funny moment downstairs a couple of minutes ago,
Right. Let me get into the chat. Just about, yeah, you're stuttering there again now, yeah?
We had a funny moment downstairs a couple of minutes ago. I came in from work and we were both sitting down to eat dinner, myself and Rosanna. And there was something on the telly, fucking Dogs Trust or some shit. And she said, "Will you turn that off when I'm eating?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I put on 105 because I knew there was Europa League on. And of course, I turn on 105 and it's Roma versus Feyenoord from the Stadio Olimpico. And we're sitting there. And the next minute, now I know where they are. And she's sitting beside me. She goes, "Is that the stadium we were in?" I says, "It fucking is, you know." She was like, "No way, look at that." But she twigged it,
there you go.
Which I was really surprised about. Yeah.
Happy out.
Yeah. Very funny.
Yeah.
You know?
Very, very good. I'm just going to switch off that bar for the moment and see if that helps things with us. Right, let's get into the chat first before we begin. We do have a poll running on the channel tonight as well, folks. Who do you think is going to win the Premier League? Man City, Liverpool, or Arsenal? So let us know your thoughts on that. We'll check in on that poll later on. A little bit of homework for you boys. Acers, Liverpool are 7-4 to win the title. In the bookie, City are even money. Not much in it at all. Jim Ratcliffe interview was interesting. Watch. It was. Some interesting stuff came out of it. Okay, we'll touch on it. Elimination Chamber kickoff event at 4 a.m.
4 a.m.? I think that's wrong, isn't it?
That's definitely wrong. The kickoff event is 9 a.m.
Yeah, because
the show is 10
a.m. 10. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's 9 and then 10 Acers. Europa League and Conference League draw tomorrow morning at 11
got that
and
one
midday.
Wrong, Jerry. We know who you are, Jerry.
Show me the money. Show me the money. And Acers, former Barcelona Brazilian footballer Dani Alves has been sentenced to 4.5 years. We will be covering that as well during the show. Don't worry about that. Right, so we'll begin with, tell us about your trip to Lazio versus Bologna and that fantastic stadium.
I got to be honest, man. It was like a childhood dream. I think I've mentioned before on here that my first real exposure to football was Italia 90. I was 6 years of age and my dad bought me the yellow Packy Bonner jersey and the black shorts and the black socks, and that was it. I was hooked, you know. And I remember obviously watching games from this stadium. So it was very surreal to then rock up on Sunday and go to the game, you know. It was just really cool. We didn't book tickets before we went because we didn't know how things were going to pan out and what we'd seen and what we hadn't seen and what the weather was like and stuff like that. So we hadn't booked that, and we rocked up to a ticket office at the side of the stadium, just like a unit, you know, like a container with three little holes in it. And you rock up and the girl put a laminated thing in front of you, and the seats were marked by price. So the cheapest ticket was €25, which I thought was really good value. Now, the cheapest ticket was obviously over on one of the sidelines, and it was quite high up. So we were like, right, well, we don't need to spend 25 quid. Like, we can go a little bit further. So we ended up paying €60 each. So like any kind of half decent concert, football match, sporting event is gonna cost you bare minimum. I was at the rugby 2 weeks ago. I was at Italy and Ireland in the Aviva. The tickets were 106.50 each. So this was almost half that. We got two of us in for 120, and it was cool. It was really, really cool. Seats were good. We had a whole row to ourselves. Atmosphere was just fantastic. Now, if you look over at the picture with the beer in the hand, the goal to the right hand side is the Stade du Nord. So it's the north side, and then there's the Stade du Sud on the left hand side. And the Nord is the one where the ultras go. So that's kind of a no-go area for anyone other than very, very heavy Lazio fans and stuff like that, which was something I wasn't worried about, but it was something I was aware of. I was going, we need to be careful where we sit here, because you sit in the wrong spot, you could be getting into a little bit of bother here. But like really, really good sort of family atmosphere. Lots of families there. Rosanna couldn't believe it. She doesn't go to too many football matches, but she couldn't believe that there was like families of 4 and 5 rocking up. Mom, dad, 2 or 3 kids, and that was there because the game was at 12:30 on Sunday. That was like mass for them. This was their holy grail on a Sunday, and everyone was in, from Mammy at whatever age to little Johnny at 5 or 6, and they all had their colours on and stuff, and everything around the stadium and stuff was very, very reasonably priced as well, which I couldn't get over. So the beers came in half pints, and I got 2 half pints and a popcorn for 11 quid.
That's all right. Did okay for stadium. For stadium, that's very good.
I think it was like 3 quid for a half pint and like a fiver for the popcorn. And I was like, that's such good value, And of course, we had 2 or 3 of them at that stage then.
Yeah.
So you're up on 35 quid, whatever it is, but you've had like a pint and a half in three halves. So you're just sipping, you're just having a little bit of popcorn, and it was great. Game was interesting. You obviously know this. Anyone listening won't know this, but I actually did a bet builder at the start of the game, and I have it here. My bet builder for the day included, like, I know I had Ciro Mobley to have a goal or assist, and I know I had somebody to get a card. I had the Moroccan lad playing in the middle for Bologna to get a card, and he actually scored the opener. Sorry, Lazio scored the opener, and Ciro got the assist. So I won part of me bet up, So Ciro came up first, and then I had El Zaruri was the guy who got the goal, and then he got his card a couple of minutes later. I had both teams to score. I had over 2.5, and all I needed was basically a Joshua Zirkzee goal, which is the boy, this is the lad that was at Bayern Munich for the last couple of years, and he was sold to Bologna, and he's been heavily touted all over Europe as one of the next big things. United have been linked with him a couple of times. And I looked at this guy. There was 2 guys that really, really impressed me. There was him, and there was a Colombian centre-back playing for Bologna, a left-sided centre-back who was really, really handy. The guy John Duran that plays for Aston Villa.
Yeah.
He spells John Jhon. It looks a bit weird. Yeah. He spells it JH rather than JOHN. This guy was called John Kumati or something like this, right? Colombian centre back, 25 years of age. I was looking at his profile while he was playing. Really, really handy, really athletic, good in the air, great with the ball at his feet. And as a left-sided centre back who's left-footed, he's like a fucking unicorn because there's not loads of them out there. So I want you to remember his name and the boy Joshua Zirkzee, because they were both really good. Zirkzee got the goal, he got the winner, made it 2-1. I got me bet up. The Lazio fans were going fucking mental, and me and her had to kind of slide down into the seats because she was like, "Did you just win money off this?" And I was like, "Yes, I sure did." And I kind of started getting a little lower in the chair because I didn't want to smile too much in case any of the locals got a bit restless, But it was great. It was really, really good. Now I have to be honest with you, highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
And great that you didn't have to. There wasn't a whole lot of organising on. We just left our hotel. We got a taxi to the ground. The taxi to the ground cost us 30 quid. And then we got the tickets, picked them up on the day. Like, we were literally an hour before kickoff. In we went. Was brilliant. And it's something like, it's definitely somewhere I'll look at maybe bringing the lads. The 2 boys, because just a really cool vibe and stuff like that.
What was it like after the game getting out of there, taxi wise? Was it handy enough to get a taxi afterwards?
Yeah, it was handy. Now, we didn't go out and run, so we took a couple of pictures and stuff like that as the stadium emptied out. We went to the bathrooms. We got another drink and just chilled for a couple of minutes and let a little bit of crowd go. And then from where we were, we had to walk out back towards the main road, and part of it was closed off. So we spoke to 2 policemen, and they said, listen, there's a road over there. And he said, if you rode over there, he said the road points the right direction for where you want to go to. He said, so if you pull a taxi on that road over there, they'll bring you straight to it. It was grand. And I actually think it was a couple of quid less because they didn't have to come round on the loop like they did earlier on. It was like 26 or something. But it was cool. It was really easy.
That'd be nice. Brilliant. Sound like a
And I
great trip.
felt-
I always like that if you're in a different city or a different town or something, and
Yeah.
there is a stadium and a match. It's nice to go and experience it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just because you don't really have a card in the game, you can just sit back
Exactly.
and enjoy it like for what it is.
And we've talked about this recently about, you know, I'm a football fucking nut. Like, I'll watch football morning, noon and night, and twice on a Sunday if I have to. And recently I've been really enjoying my football when it wasn't my team, because I didn't have a card in the game. United weren't playing very well throughout the middle period of the league, and watching them was difficult. Now that didn't stop me watching them. I watched every game and I sat through it, but it was tough. But when I wasn't watching United, I was really enjoying watching other teams, because you don't have a horse in the race. You can really enjoy both sides of the ball. You don't care who scores. You want to see goals, cards, drama, the whole shit match. And it kind of gave us that, which was great. The one thing I will say, and I didn't necessarily think this would be the case, because, you know, we've all heard about Italian football and stuff like this, and I felt so safe there. Like, so safe. There was no whiff of trouble. There was no raised voices. Now, listen, at the end of the game when Lazio lost, the fans weren't happy. But it did, you know, it was more of a, lads, what he's doing. Like, you know, there wasn't the kind of venom that you can feel sometimes in you know, maybe stadiums in England and stuff like that. And there was very little separation between, say, the Bologna fans and the Lazio fans. It was, you know, like, I've obviously been to Old Trafford and I've been to other stadiums and stuff like that, and you see this segregation where police have to get in between rival fans and stuff like that. It wasn't generally like that. It was a really nice atmosphere. It was Sunday morning. It was 12:30. The weather was good. Like, it was just lovely, you know. And I didn't necessarily think I would get that from Italy, especially Rome, because I
wonder would have been different if it had been, say, Milan, or it had been Juventus or something like that. Yeah. Maybe, you know what I mean? Possibly. Maybe you just picked maybe a good game. It'd be like, say, United versus Burnley or something like that. Or, you know what I mean?
Burnley would be Lancashire Derby, so there'd be a little bit there.
Okay, yeah, but you know, Brighton or whatever.
If it was something like that, and that's, listen, that's a fair deal. All right, I think you're right. I think we kind of got very lucky with how the game fell, and who was playing and stuff. But it was really cool. Really, really enjoyed it. Now, I have to be honest with you.
Yeah. Aces are saying they're leading 2-0 at the moment. That's it.
The other thing, and I don't know whether you've seen this or not, and I would urge anybody to go and look at this. Lazio's kits at the minute are being made by Mizuno. Now, there's not too many football kits being made by Mizuno at the minute. They've 3 kits. Their home one is obviously that very light blue, that baby blue almost. They have a white one for away, and then they have a navy one. All 3 jerseys are off the charts. Like,
isn't it amazing when we do our kit reviews and stuff like that? The lesser brands, if you like, lesser within football, say, not lesser sports brands. Mizuno is a big brand, like, but isn't it mad when you go to those brands? They do such a better job. They blow away the Nike and the Adidas kits. We've seen it even when we reviewed, you know, the likes of the Palace kits and stuff like that. Well, you know what I mean?
The Palace kits for the last 2 seasons, home and away, have been 2 of the best jerseys in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's mad, isn't it? So it doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
Absolutely. Really is. Yeah, Baz is in as well. Big up, Baz. Good seeing my friend. And Aces, did they have any Paul Gascoigne stock in the mega store?
So, there's no actual mega store. The official Lazio store isn't on site, right? The official Lazio store is in the mid-center of Rome, and it's on one of the streets in Rome, and then the street behind it has the Roma shop. But the reason they don't have mega stores on the grounds is they don't want a Roma shop that the Lazio fans will wreck, and they don't want a Lazio shop that the Roma fans will wreck. So
Of course, makes sense.
what they erect is like a like a pop-up gazebo,
Yeah.
like a wide gazebo. And the
Yeah.
day we were there, you walk into the gazebo and there's a few bits hanging up. But as you're leaving, they're taking that down. They're taking the scarves down, the hats down. They're taking the whole thing down, because next week when Roma are on, those lads come and put their own up. So interesting in that sense.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, no, that's good, yeah. And interesting. Same Liverpool as well. They have the megastore obviously up at the ground, but down in the city as well, they have the megastore in the square, and just around the corner from it is the Everton store. So it's interesting.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's upstairs in the It's upstairs on Liverpool 1, right?
Yeah, they have Liverpool 1 and then they have Everton 2. You know, that's the joke about it. Absolutely. Big up Jack in the chat as well. He says WWE SummerSlam is coming to NFL Cleveland Browns Stadium. It's an interesting location.
And it is an interesting location. Now, what makes it very interesting? Aer Lingus now do direct flights to Cleveland twice a week. Just saying.
There you go.
Just saying. There you go.
Interesting. Right, before we get into the Champions League review, we lost this man the other day, Andreas Remme. Unbelievable player, of course. You can see his stats there, everything that he's won. And I suppose I remember him greatly as well, anyway, from FIFA World Cup 90, obviously, with West Germany. Seems like it's weird. I often find it weird when we talk about West Germany and East Germany, because it doesn't seem like it was too long ago, you know, that kind of way. But yet the world has evolved. But yeah, and absolutely, he had an unbelievable career and stuff like that. And very sad, gone there, 64 years of age.
Really good footballer. Really good footballer. Very, very tidy. Like, you know, we always talk about what would he be worth now? You know, Andreas Brahim is a £50 million player now, all day long.
Yeah, absolutely.
All day long. You know, really is.
Did you catch McAteer's post on him there the other day when he passed away?
I didn't catch the post, but I saw what you put into the group about the post, which I thought was very funny.
It was absolutely brilliant. He went up to swap jerseys with him, and he took McAteer took his jersey, and McAteer went to give him his jersey, and he said, "Nah, you're all right," and walked away. Cracking. And it could only happen to J.O., couldn't it? It could only happen to J.O.
Yeah, trigger. It can only happen to trigger. Yeah. But here's the other thing, don't forget. Like, Brahim at that stage was ex-Inter Milan, right? And he's played with, like, some fabulous footballers. You know, Jurgen Klinsmann, Dennis Bergkamp, guys like this. So, like, Jason McAteer's jersey was never going to do a whole lot for him, was it?
I wouldn't have thought so. Yeah,
you know,
I don't even know. Was he? That was what game was that? Was that before '94? Was it? That was the one where they won 2-0, wasn't it? We beat them 2-0. Was that before '94?
We beat them in the qualification. Or was it the friendly before the World Cup? It was the friendly.
The friendly. It was the friendly. We beat them 2-0.
Do you know where I was? I know where I was. I remember where I watched that. I watched that game, Ireland beat Germany, in the ballroom in Mosney. They had it on the big screen. So that's about
a memory to have.
That's about 94, right? And just a couple of weeks prior to the competition, we obviously had Italy, Mexico, and Norway in our group, and we had Germany as one of the final friendlies, let's call it, and we turned them over. Did Gary Kelly score?
Yeah.
Did Gary Kelly score a goal?
I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. He might have. I'm not too sure. Do you know the interesting thing about it? Had Macca hadn't even made the move to Liverpool at that stage, had he? Or did they go that summer, him and Bab? On the back of the '94 World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were at Coventry.
On the back of the strength of the World Cup, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So that makes it even weirder as well, because he hadn't even made the move to Liverpool probably at that stage. Yeah. So yeah, interesting, Ari. Very, very interesting. Aces is in. WWE are doing Rocky Sylvester Stallone segment for WrestleMania 40, and he's supposed to give Cody Rhodes a pep talk before Roman Reigns match.
Jesus.
We're getting Hollywood now, aren't we? Right, let's get into this. Champions League. Let's have a quick look.
Have you seen Stallone recently?
Yeah.
Because that pep talk could take a while. Because it takes quite a while for him to fucking speak. He's like the Walking Dead. God bless him. He's trying to get it out the side of his mouth or something. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's talking out of his ear at this stage.
He fucking is.
Give us a quick overview on this. We don't want to dwell on it too long. Obviously, it's first legs and stuff like that. Anything stick out there? Anything kind of catch your eye? Obviously, Arsenal last night, very disappointing performance. No shots on target.
I think the two standouts for me are obviously Lazio beating Bayern. And that was a huge result for Lazio and obviously for Bayern and Thomas Tuchel and stuff like that, which we'll talk about later. Lazio now looked absolutely wrecked come Sunday against Bologna. Bologna looked fresh. Lazio looked out on their feet because obviously it was 14 men behind the ball at one stage because they were trying to just hold out. And then the other shock was Porto. Porto beating Arsenal again. Arsenal with chance upon chance upon chance, and just not able to take it. And at the end of the game, there, Porto with a sucker punch. I think the rest of it kind of went as you would call to plan. City win, Real win, PSG win.
Yeah.
I think Inter Atletico is a toss of a coin. PSG is a toss of a coin. Sorry, PSV is a toss of a coin. And I think Napoli and Barca was toss of a coin. So, I would have said they're the only two real shocks for me.
You know what I was looking at today? I was looking at one of the stats from the Arsenal game today. And it was Arsenal had 10 corners in the game. And yet they had no shots on target, either from the corners or resulting from a save to produce the corner. No shots on target, and 10 corners. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
When you think about it.
And it's something that in general they've been reasonably good at, because the boy Gabriel and William Saliba have both been a huge threat from the likes of corners and set pieces and stuff like that. So I think it probably says as much about how well Porto were able to defend the area as anything. They were very resilient, they were very dogged, and they were very well organised. We've seen, I certainly am preempting anything here, but we've seen a Porto team like that in the past that were very well drilled, that were very well, who knew their jobs and stuck to their tasks and stuff like that. Porto did that. They didn't get into, a trading with Arsenal. They knew they were going to have to absorb a lot of it, and they'd get chances. And the important thing was, when they got chances, they had to take them. They won't be a pushover in the second leg, Porto.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. All right, certainly. Would you still expect Arsenal to go through?
I would, but
at the Emirates.
At the Emirates, listen, very hard to back against Arsenal at the Emirates. But what I will say is, if Porto rock up to the Emirates and put in a similar performance, Arsenal could be in trouble. And we know that crowd at the Emirates can get on Arsenal's back a little bit if things aren't going their way. I mean, look, let's say Porto took a lead. We're 2-0 up in the tie. That starts getting really, really messy. And those Arsenal fans are getting on Arteta, and then they're worried that they don't have that striker to score those goals that they need, and all of a sudden, you got the weight of the world on your back. It shouldn't happen. Arsenal should steamroll Porto at home. They should. But we know we don't play football on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Acers reckons Joanne's in as well. Big up, Joanne. Thanks for joining us tonight. Acers, Porto will score in the second leg. Be interesting. Do you know the one thing, and I'm going to allude to it later, because obviously we're going to be looking at the Premier League, and obviously Arsenal are playing Newcastle, which is a big game coming up in the Premier League this weekend. But the one thing I look back on as well, with Arsenal as well, they don't tend to have isolated losses. They tend to have kind of clusters of bad results. And I just wonder, is potentially the beginning of that? Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I mean. They've just come out of a cluster of 4 or 5 really good results.
Yeah.
Are they about to begin a cluster of poor results that could, unhinge their season slightly, if you like? So it'll be interesting to see. They
do blow very hot and cold. You know, they do go from, you know, a team obviously that put 6 past West Ham and 5 past Burnley and stuff like that, steamrolling teams. Then all of a sudden you look at them the other night, you think, wow, this isn't what it says on the tin. Do you know what I mean? It was weird, but there is pockets and clusters of results like that, and that's something, you know, Mikel Arteta has to watch out for. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get into our Premier League preview. Right, and obviously Chelsea and Tottenham was postponed, obviously, with the Carabao Cup coming up. So we start off with Brighton versus Everton.
Is your game off as well?
Well, we played last night. You played. Ours was brought back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it wasn't televised, because it was it was a 3 o'clock. It was a blackout game, 3 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, so that was the weird conundrum actually. Why wasn't Chelsea's and Tottenham's brought back?
Was it not televised?
Well, it was not officially televised.
Okay.
For stick.
Together, standing tall. Yeah, I suppose.
If you could teleport yourself to the States, it was televised.
Yeah, it was on. Yeah, it was on Apple TV or ESPN or somewhere like that. Yeah, Brighton had a good result last weekend. I think obviously the sending off really put paid to the game as a contest. You know, when Holgate went off and Boyd away, it's comfortably the worst challenge we've seen this season. Comfortably. Like, I don't know if yourself and Mark discussed it on Monday.
Absolutely.
I suggest you probably did, because obviously, you know, Marky being the ref and stuff, but the Holgate card is just a sending off. It's an absolutely deplorable tackle. It really is. Like the FA, that for me is the epitome of what needs to be cracked down on in football. That's a leg breaker. That's a career ender. You know, if I was Mason Holgate and I managed to see daylight in the next 5 games, I'd count myself very, very lucky. Because for me, that should be an automatic 5-game ban where you make contact with the opposition player, you know. So it was kind of nice for Brighton to have a bit of revenge and absolutely hand Sheffield United their arse after it and just go, you know what? And the boy Matoma got up as well, which was great, because he's a really tidy footballer and we like the kid a lot, you know, which was great. Got a couple of assists and stuff like that himself, so I was happy with that. I see this being a tough day at the office for Everton. I watched Everton Palace the other night on Monday. And Everton, you know, they're going to run this really close to the end of the season, this relegation thing, because scoring goals is a huge, huge problem for them. You know, they don't create enough chances, and the chances they do create, they don't take. And they're relying heavily on the set pieces and the corners and stuff like that. You know, and that can only go on for so long. Like the other night, obviously, you know, again, Dwight McNeil, it's a corner kick, ball comes in, you know, to get the header and stuff like that. That's going to be tough for them. Dyche needs to do something. He needs to be a little bit more expansive in the kind of higher end of the pitch. If Everton are going to get out of this, because they need points and you can't win games without goals. You just can't. It's too tough.
It's not in his nature, sure it's not. It's not in his nature.
No, but he's got it. Like I look at the other day, and obviously he starts with maybe Dwight McNeil, right? And I like the boy McNeil. I think he's a really good player. But for me, when I look at that, I want to see something very similar on the opposite side. I want to see Jack Harrison. I want to see 2 lads like that going at fullbacks, and 2 lads that maybe can cross over. And I'll give your guy a go and you give my guy, right, and we'll keep them busy and keep them honest. We'll do 10, 15 minutes and we go back over and we'll keep getting the ball in the box and putting. He's Harrison on the bench and he's playing Ashley fucking Young. And I'm like, I understand from a defensive point of view that Young is going to give a little more going that way, right? But he's giving you fucking nothing going that way. Roll the dice, take Young out of the team, let Harrison and let fucking McNeil just drill them and just make sure they know, lads, yes, we need ball in the box. Yes, we need you to be offensive. But if you don't do the dirty work, we'll pull you. We'll take you off. But don't have somebody like Ashley Young fucking blocking a player who can be productive for you. And that's what Harrison can be. Harrison's goals, Harrison's assists, he strikes a good ball, he can create. You're fucking pissing in the wind with Ashley Young in there. You really are. He's so limited as to what he can give you. And that's not to say he's not committed, but he has huge limitations. For me, if I'm Everton and he's playing fullback, I feel more comfortable than if he's playing right side of midfield and I'm looking for him to create for me. He hasn't done that in years, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're literally kind of handicapping yourself right from the off, really, aren't you?
Yeah, it's back to the Ronaldo and Donny van de Beek thing. You're playing with 10 men.
Yeah. And I think that the weird decision about that as well is it's not like Harrison has been playing poorly. I mean, when he's been in there playing for Everton, he's done all right.
He's absolutely done all right. He's done as well as a lot of the lads around him. Like when you look at it, if you go in with a front three of, say, a Harrison and a McNeil, either side of Calvert-Lewin, and you go in with the Corey behind, and then you go in with Garner and the boy Onana, there's nothing wrong with that. That's all right. Like, you've got a bit of steel in that midfield. The boy Onana is a fabulous footballer. I've said it once. I'll keep saying he's a really top footballer. If Everton dip out of the league or don't dip out of the league, he's the one who'll exit the building for 50 to 60. Hands down, it'll be Onana. It won't be fucking Calvert-Lewin. He wouldn't hit a barn door with a banjo. Whatever money they turned away from over the last couple of years from Spurs and from other teams like that, they need to pick that phone back up to Daniel Levy and say, listen, remember that 50 to 60 million they wanted to give us? Well, we'll take 25 to 30 right now and just get him off the fucking premises. Because with his injury record,
we'll take 5.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, man, it's so poor. This is Brighton for me. This is Brighton. I think Everton will get one, but I think they'll only get the one, and it'll probably be from some sort of a free kick, set piece, something like this. And I'm going Brighton 3-1.
Good show. Joanne was in. She said 2-1 to Everton. Should be interesting though. But then again, with the Brighton, you don't know. You don't. Yeah, because see this kind of thing where you have good week Brighton, bad week Brighton, good week Brighton, bad week Brighton. This is what we've seen, you know. So this could be the one where they get bad week, but who knows? Helen's in. Hey, Dazzler, how are you? Oh, good. Man United, Fulham.
3-1.
3-1 again.
3-1, yeah.
Okay.
3-1 again.
Interesting.
And we were very poor last weekend for my money. I think we were extremely indulgent at times. You know, the forward players, Rashford, Fernandes, Garnacho, stuff like that. I think we were extremely indulgent. We had enough chances in that game, you know, to put 10 nails in Luton's coffin, and we didn't. And you go to the 95th minute or whatever it was, and Bruno's down one end of the pitch, and he decides to have a go from nowhere, misses the target, and all of a sudden, 50 seconds later, Ross Barkley's putting a header on your crossbar.
Off the ball. Yeah. Poor management, really. 2 corners, and you should have just kept it in the corner. What are you even crossing it in for?
Why are you crossing it? Just take the ball, stand on it, look to get your free kick, no problem. Like, you know, just be very clever. Don't go gung-ho in the 95th minute when you're 2-1 up. It's naive. You know, it's petulant. It's not good game management. Can you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot there and that was, say, an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a Manchester City? That ball never sees the light of day outside of that quadrant of the corner flag. No chance. Absolutely no chance. It was a bit annoying, I got to be honest. Now, I'm delighted with the win. We did call it was going to be one of them games. You know, we spoke on tours. I said, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be scruffy. I think I said United 2-1 just to get over the line, right? Yeah,
you did.
And that's what it was. And listen, for me, the 3 points right now is so important. Our performances at home have been better than our away performances. So if in our last 2 games we went away to Villa Park and away to Kenilworth Road, got 6 points and won 2 games 2-1, I will take it all day long. I think it's a huge win for us. And we'll just go out this weekend and try and do a number on Fulham at home. And that's you know.
Yeah, big up Will in the chat. All right, the lads, nervous dumps have started waiting on Sunday. There you go. Will was out here actually the day we had the Stevie final against West Ham. Myself and Will were out here on the beer, and we had a great day and stuff like that.
Very
And all,
good.
and it was mad, but it was tense. It was tense. There was nervous dumps that day as well.
I
Sure
bet it
was.
was,
Big
yeah.
up Will. Aston Villa will destroy Forest. Next one, Aston Villa versus Forest.
Yeah, I think this could be a tough day at the office for Forest, if I'm honest. I think kind of Villa. I think we mentioned that maybe the United defeat could help Villa turn a corner ever so slightly, and I think that's kind of what we got last weekend, wasn't it? That was Villa putting a much better performance together and getting the win and stuff like that. So I think for me, again, I'm going the home team here. I'm probably going Villa. Shall we go 3-1 again? 3 in the bounce? 3-1, 3-1, 3-1?
Yeah, 3-1 sounds good because it kind of ties in with my bets somewhat.
Yeah, I do my bets obviously before I do my predictions. So
I must actually check mine actually. I know it ties in with one of my bets. I'm not sure if it ties in with the other one actually, but we'll check it when we get around to it.
Yeah,
Carabao Cup is already in the bag for Klopp. Don't know about that. Wouldn't be too sure about that. Here's the mascot coming in.
Here we go.
Ronnie coming up.
Coda or Ronnie?
All right. Ronnie's the mascot. He's over there with MJ now, so all good. Crystal Palace Burnley.
Yeah, so obviously I watched Palace Everton Monday night. I think you know, there was a little bit of endeavour. There was a little bit of fight from Palace. I know they're lacking the quality. Like, for me, if you ask me to write down Crystal Palace's 4 best players, right, I would write down Ebriechi Eze. At the minute, he's out injured. I'd write Michael Elise. He's out injured.
Yeah.
I'd write the boy Check the Corey out of centre midfield. He's out injured. And Mark Gahey, the centre back, and he's also out injured. When you're a team like Crystal Palace and you lose close to 200 million worth of footballers, life ain't gonna be easy, and that's what they're finding. That is what they're finding. The boy Glasner, I believe, is very, very tactical, and we could see something completely different from Palace this weekend because he likes to play a back 5 when they're out of possession and 3 when they're in possession, and he pushes those wing backs very, very high. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what he goes with. He prefers to play a 3-3-2 with wing backs going up and down defensively or offensively. So Palace haven't played like that. Palace have generally played 4-3-3. So it'll be interesting to see if we see that change. If he has 3 fit centre backs to go in the middle there, and then what can they create up front with maybe the 2 big lads, Mateta and Edward and stuff like that. I don't think this will be a great game of football, Palace Burnley, and I'm gonna go 1-1 on it.
Interesting. Bournemouth Man City.
Yeah, I think this could be another possible banana skin for City, you know. Obviously picked up the win the other night against Brentford, but again it was a poor performance, wasn't it? They were off the pace, shall we say.
Yeah, definitely struggling. Struggling.
Now listen, here's the thing. I looked at it. I had done me fancy football, and I looked at it and I saw the team and I started, where the fuck is De Bruyne? And then you see they're struggling in the game, and you're like, when's he bringing on De Bruyne? And he just keeps rolling and rolling. And all of a sudden, you're like, he's not bringing him fucking on. You know, and you're like, this is a bit mental. Like, I don't know what, like, obviously we don't know his physical condition and his shape and stuff like that. He's just coming back from the injury, but thought it was strange that he didn't show him didn't let him out of the traps and stuff, you know, and kind of said to the lads, listen, you got to do this without him. He needs a rest, or he need, you know. Now they pulled it out of the fire, the goal and stuff like that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
There's a sign he tore his hamstring against Brentford. I don't know. I didn't see that reported anywhere. Must have been. It mustn't have been serious. It must have only been. I didn't say that anywhere. That'd be big news if that happened because he's only back, really. You know.
He didn't come off the bench against Brentford. He didn't start the game, and he never came off the bench. The only two subs they made was he started with Oscar Babb, he brought on Jeremy Doku, and he started with Julian Alvarez, and he brought off Mateo Kovacic. He didn't play De Bruyne for a single minute versus Brentford. Now, unless he did something in the warm-up, warm-up and he was pulled from the team, maybe he was due to start, and maybe that's why he couldn't bring him on. But if he did, I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything about it if that's the case. Possibly, though, but maybe. What are you going for here, Bournemouth, Man City?
Yeah, I think, again, it's going to be City being scruffy, but just getting over the line, you know. So I'm going to go City 2-1.
Interesting. Arsenal, Newcastle?
Yeah, I think this could be a good game. I think this could be a really good game because obviously, you know, Arsenal have the bit between their teeth after last night. And they're back home at the Emirates and they'll want to keep their foot to the floor in the league. I think Newcastle generally don't travel very, very well as far as London. And they do find it tough on the road up there and stuff like that. So I think possibly this could be Arsenal getting back on the horse and getting the ball rolling again ahead of Porto next week. I don't think Newcastle will make it easy. And I think, again, Arsenal at the back at times can be a little bit susceptible. So I'll go Arsenal. I'm going with 3-1 quite a lot. This is my 4-3-1 of the weekend. I'm going 3-1.
There you go. Wolves, Sheffield United.
I think if anyone's going to win, this is going to be Wolves. But I also think what we saw last weekend from Wolves was that they're going to miss the boy Cunha. You know, he's going to be a big miss for them because they don't score lots and lots of goals. And he was their sort of focal point up front and stuff like that. Now, listen, the result last weekend against Spurs was a huge turn up for the Bucks. But I think they were a little bit lucky in a sense because they didn't create an awful lot of chances and they scored twice. Spurs created bags of chances, only managed to get one. You know what I mean? So I don't think they'll be that lucky every weekend. I think goals are going to be the difficulty for Wolves, and I think I'm just going to go 1-1 on this one. I think this will be a hard fought game, you know.
Interesting. Joanne is going for a 2-0 Wolves, and Helen is going for a goalless draw.
Yeah, I'm not miles away from that, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Interesting. West Ham, Brentford.
I think Brentford in the last couple of games, again, we talked about it, the Ivan Toney bounce has helped them. But I think some of the performances are a little better than maybe the results they've been getting, you know. Probably deserved a little bit more against City twice, even in the community stadium and stuff like that. So I think this could be a good game for Brentford. West Ham haven't been good. And I think Tony could do a lot of damage against that West Ham back four and stuff like that. And Maupay obviously been in good form and stuff like that. I think I'm just going to go Brentford here 2-1. And I think that, again, as I've just read underneath there, heaps a huge amount of pressure onto David Moyes.
Yeah, and there's massive pressure on Brentford as well. If you look at Brentford down in 14th, they're not like clear of that bottom three either, you know.
They're not, but they've also, if we look at Brentford just recently, they've had quite a tough run of games.
Yeah.
So they've had performances, but not points. Whereas I think if they're able to put similar performances together against West Ham, Wolves, Sheffield United, they'll pull clear. And I don't think they'll be in huge danger. You know, that's what I think will happen personally.
Yeah. Okay, well that rounds out that very nicely. Let's talk about the other game on Sunday, obviously down in Wembley.
There's another game on Sunday.
Anfield South. There is. There's the little process of a Carabao Cup final. Give me your thoughts on this. I'm going to be doing a preview tomorrow night on the channel. a full preview of it, so we'll look at lineups and all that kind of stuff when I'm doing that. But give us your thoughts, because obviously you won't get to see that, obviously. So
Yeah, like I think if we're going at this from a logical point of view, Liverpool are having a much better season than Chelsea are. They're better defensively, they're better offensively, and they're better in the midfield. I think the injuries are going to play a big part. I got to be honest. I think you'd enough in the barrel to get you over the line against Luton. I think Chelsea, with the result last weekend, will be buoyed by the fact, that they were able to go to City and get a result and stuff like that. I think that'll be a bit of a confidence builder for them.
Yeah.
I think obviously, wins against Villa and stuff like that recently again, after the defeat at Anfield, will add to them a little bit. And I think this is dangerous for Liverpool, if I'm honest. And I didn't foresee myself saying this 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, if you'd asked me what's happening on Carabao Cup Sunday, I'd have said Liverpool handy. Liverpool to do this handy. But I think with the unlucky run of injuries that you guys have had, and I mean, all teams in the league get injuries, but I think the timing of it's been particularly poor for you guys, because we know, Klopp and we know Guardiola and managers like that love this first trophy of the season. They love being able to win this and try and give them the little bounce and push them and carry them through to FA Cups, leagues, Champions Leagues and stuff like that. And I think that's it's unfortunate the way it's unfolded for you guys. And I think just at the wrong time, Chelsea are just starting to get things together a little bit, Is it going to be enough to make life very, very difficult for Liverpool? I'm not sure. But I do think it's going to be a lot more keenly contested than it would have been maybe 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, I mean, the talk at the moment is that the likes of Darwin and Salah will be back for it. That's why they weren't involved last night. So apparently they're going to be back for that. I don't know if that kind of changes your thinking on it or not. I looked at the team last night and I thought, look, with the exception of Alisson, obviously, we kind of have that back four there, and Quavine's been a very good deputy, in fairness. So
absolutely, and he's
think our
been
midfield,
the cup keeper generally, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so we may have played.
Remember, was it 2 years ago? He scored the winning penalty, didn't he? 2 years ago.
Yeah. So
he scored the winning penalty, didn't he? 2 years ago as well. So yeah, absolutely. So, it's certainly going to be interesting. I think you're right. It has come at the timing has been poor for us, because I would really like both teams to have full squads as well. You know what I mean? So we could really, really have a kind of it'll still be a spectacle, but a spectacle in a much stronger kind of level and stuff like that and all, So, but certainly it's going to be interesting. Be interesting to see how we line up and stuff like that. Be interesting to see with Chelsea as well. Does Poch continue his tinkering, or is he going to be a bit more level-headed and a bit more pragmatic in his way, So let's see what happens there. But yeah, we'll take a bigger look at it tomorrow night. I'll be doing it at 8 o'clock.
I
so
don't
we'll see
know.
what happens there and stuff like that.
I don't know how reputable the source is. However, something has just appeared on my Twitter feed. I'm not on Twitter, but when somebody shares a link, I can get it on the feed. And it's saying that apparently Xabi Alonso has agreed to join Bayern Munich.
No, that was something that came out. That was something that came out today. I was going to actually mention it.
Right.
There was a thing out today. There's a Twitter page out there called Slow Sports News.
Right.
So it's a rip on Sky Sports News, right? And they put out a thing going breaking news with the yellow and the black. Xabi Alonso has agreed to join Bayern Munich. And when you click into it, it brings you to the story that they produced on Sky Sports when, as a player, he left Real Madrid and went to Bayern Munich.
Okay.
It was so funny. No, I don't know if that's the same thing, but
it's exactly what you just described. and I
Yeah.
wouldn't click
I
on the
seen it.
link
I
to
seen it
go any
today.
further.
Yeah. Yeah. If you click on the link will bring you into when he was
At
playing and when
at
he
at
left Ray Allen at the
slow
Bayern.
at slow sports news under the yellow bar with the black writing.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Somebody's just
It's
put it
class
into
when
one
you
of the groups I'm in, and I've just gone,
yeah,
what?
when you
Has that
click the link.
just
Yeah, when you click the link, it brings you to his transfer to Bayern Munich, I think, from Real Madrid. It's class as a player. It's quality though. I nearly had a heart attack today when I seen it. I went, oh my god, and then I realised Slough Sports News and I go, this has to be a rip. But it's mad. It goes all the way back to that Sky Sports website when he was
wow?
moving from Real Madrid to Bayern. Yeah, but interesting. Yeah,
I
but
thought I had a
they got
scoop
me.
there for a
They
minute.
got me.
They just
Yeah,
got me.
give us a predict. Yeah. Oh no, got everyone today. Everyone to hit day because that Slow Sports News looks exactly like Sky Sports as well. Uses all the same stuff and all. Give us a prediction for this one. What are you going with?
I think obviously if if you can get the likes of Salah and Nunez back on the pitch and available, it certainly tilts the scales or tips the scales to your side. It'll be interesting to see what he has to start with, and it'll be interesting to see what he has off the bench. I think we could end up seeing this go quite a distance. I wouldn't be at all
Penalties
surprised
again.
to see extra time and possibly even penalties. Yeah. Because if we're looking at it and we know that guys have been out during the week based on levels of fitness and injuries and stuff like that, the likelihood is they're not going to play 90 plus 30 come the weekend. And even if they can, like if Salah and Nunez could give you 70 minutes, is it going to be the 70 you need, or is it two guys who haven't kicked the ball? And do you know what I mean? So it's a tough one to kind of look at. I think with Chelsea, the thing I would be with Chelsea, they've obviously got an awful lot less injuries. You've got the likes of Gallagher, you've got Caicedo and Fernandez, who stepped up massively as a pair after the Liverpool game. We talked about the Villa game and stuff like that. They were a much better unit in the middle of the pitch. They will need to be, because again, I thought last night, I thought the midfield was very, very good for Liverpool. I thought Endo was very good. And I read a little something on Endo this morning. I think I might just look at it here because I want to remind me of something. It was something along the lines. Hold on now. I don't want to misquote anyone here, because this can be easy to do.
Yeah.
But it was. They were talking about Endo, and they were saying, at times his appearances can be very, very forgettable until you see his statistics after the game. And then you realise, he 97% success rate. He had 10 ball recoveries in the final third of the pitch. And I think he's given Liverpool maybe a lot more than the eye would say, because obviously you're a centre midfielder for the likes of Liverpool and, a team like that. A lot of players would be like, well, we want him to be this, we want him to do this. He's quietly efficient at what he does. His energy his work rate is phenomenal. He's very combative in the midfield. He doesn't give anybody a second. And he's very good at putting guys like McAllister on the front foot. And he's very happy to win the ball, look up, see the guy, play the pass, and sit back into the hole and go, this isn't my gig. I just protect. I think he's been a little gem so far for Liverpool. Maybe an unsung hero, if you would,
Yeah, absolutely. I've been I was wary of it in the beginning, obviously, because obviously the disappointment of missing out on a big signing. Well, maybe that's not always the issue. The issue is sometimes you have to look at things, and he had got a lot of praise and stuff like that. And I noticed when he moved as well, a lot of German journalists and stuff like that were talking about how we had gotten a gem and at a
Yeah,
very good, reasonable rate as well. So he was well thought of in
yeah,
those circles and stuff like that. And certainly it has turned out that way. He's absolutely excellent.
yeah. I think
I
so.
have to say, and even yeah, absolutely. Alan's in. We have to right the wrong of losing to Sevilla when Klopp joined to now beating Chelsea before Klopp leaves. He's won everything else. That's in the. Well, no, we've won the Carabao Cup. It's the Europa League. The Europa League is the one that he hasn't won, as far as I know.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
this weekend is stacked of sport. It certainly is. Cracking weekend of sport this
Yeah, there's a
weekend.
lot going on,
2
isn't there?
weeks till Cheltenham. Yeah, absolutely. 44 Thursdays to Christmas.
I know
There
a
you
couple
go.
of lads going to Cheltenham this year.
Oh, very good.
Not me.
That
I
sounds
know a couple of
brilliant.
lads though, but not me. I'll do it 1 year. I'll definitely do it 1 year.
Absolutely. Good stuff, Helen. Right, let's talk Bayern Munich.
I gotta be honest.
These apparently are the contenders.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Like, I don't know who put this list together, but there is more chance that they give fucking Stephen Kenny the job than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So let's quickly skirt over that. That ain't happening.
Absolutely.
That, like, when I read it, I went, sorry, what? Is he a club
Even for
legend?
even for a club in this array as Bayern Munich, to suggest the talk was they might cut Tuchel loose shortly, and that Ollie would go in as the interim till the end of the season. Apparently, that was the
Jesus
talk.
Christ.
Can
Now,
you imagine the Bayern Munich fans with Ollie being announced as the interim manager?
and with him getting the winner
It would
against you in
be
the Champions
war.
League in '99, like, fuck it now. There's two things
100%.
I will say here. First of all, I heard rumours today from wherever that apparently Thomas Tuchel was going to be Eric Ten Hag's replacement. Did you hear this?
Jeez, I hadn't
Now,
heard that now, and I don't like
if
the
there's
sound of it either.
not at all, if there's a more divisive character in football, we'd have to go away to find him. This guy, if he was in the fucking bedroom on his own, he'd fight with the bastard curtains. His man management skills are about as good as our friend in Russia, let's say. It's just, I just can't even believe that he would be muted as a. I saw the Sky Sports News headline, which first read, Tuchel eyes return to England. And I'm going, well, maybe he's getting a West Ham job, you know. And then you scroll a little deeper and he's been touted at United and you're going, would you go and get fucked, please? Radcliffe comes out yesterday and says, no matter who we bring into the club, it's really, really important that there's no egos and that everyone understands that you've got to be able to be part of the team, the setup, a cog in the wheel, the whole shoot match. And the next day, the Red Tops decide to say, we're going to take out the most divisive manager in European football. It'll just go to show you how little effort they put in. Because if you've listened to what Radcliffe said yesterday, hands down,
Totally
Tuchel,
country.
Tuchel
Totally
ain't
country.
getting into fucking Old Trafford with a ticket. So where
Yeah.
they would think he would get the gig from is fucking, stop
Yeah.
doing drugs, lads.
I,
They're bad for you.
I remember us having a conversation. Remember when he
Jesus
made the move
Christ.
first to Chelsea? And
Yeah.
remember I said the biggest thing that'll happen at Chelsea is he falls out with everyone. Wasn't it the PSG? Didn't he fall out with everyone at PSG? They couldn't wait to get a shot of him. Remember at
He
a
fell
board
out with
level,
everyone.
they binned them off.
He fell out with everyone at Dortmund. He's fallen out with everyone at PSG. He moved on to fall out with everyone at Chelsea, and now he's falling out with everyone at Bayern. And it just goes from one, and it rolls to the next. The guy is absolutely toxic. He makes Antonio Conte look like a fucking altar boy. And that's a stretch.
Yeah,
Because he's another fucking,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? He's another little
What about
Mussolini.
Zidane? Is Zidane an option for you?
If I'm Bayern,
No, in your mind.
well, if I'm Bayern, is that what you're taking? Or
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's on the list, so
if I'm Bayern, Zidane is absolutely on my radar. Now, here's what I will say, and I don't think you're going to love this part because we spoke about this during the week. If I'm Bayern Munich, I am going balls to the wall to get Xavi Alonso. Balls to the wall, because he's already winning the league with a far more inferior team, squad, and club, right? So what does he do with Bayern? How does that snowball in Germany, and then how does that, project him and Bayern in Europe? And I think if I'm Bayern Munich, I do everything in my power to make sure Xavi Alonso is the next manager of our club. That if it was me.
yeah, yeah. Oh, there's no doubt he sought after. Without,
I would,
you know,
if Alonso's turned around to me and said, "Listen, I'm going to Liverpool," Zidane would be next on my list. Antonio Conte, I wouldn't look at.
Isn't it mad? Isn't it when you think about the
look.
managerial situation? It's very like the player situation at the moment as well. There's not an awful lot of quality around. Sure, there isn't. It's very, very slim compared to, like, you remember years ago, you'd be thinking, right, you'd have Mourinho, you'd have Conte, you'd have Allegri, you'd have all these different managers and stuff like that all floating around, and you could really assess who you wanted, who fits your project and stuff like that. Now, like, you're thinking, right, we need to get a manager, so who is it? And you might have two. Because let's be realistic, as you said there, Solskjaer really isn't on the list. Conte probably really isn't on the list. You know what I mean?
Well, listen,
so
Conte
you
may
really
be on the list based on his resume. But I don't believe there's many football clubs that need Antonio Conte in their club because of the kind of character he is. Like,
well,
considering you're
taking Tuchel out, you're not going to replace him with the softer, slightly softer Tuchel 2.0.
Makes no sense for me.
So that's no sense to me.
You're going from the frying pan to the fire, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, Solskjaer is not a legitimate candidate for me. I think Hansi Flick, in your bottom right, I think is on the list. I think we probably have Alonso, Zidane, and Flick. I think that's where. I don't think Bayern would want to go below that.
Yeah.
They know what.
I was listening to Florian Plettenberg today, and he was saying that the preference at the moment is in this order: stay at Leverkusen, potentially then go to Real Madrid in 2025, then Liverpool, and then Bayern. That's where he believes it is.
For Alonso.
Yeah, for Alonso. That's the order in which they're thinking at the moment. And Bayern is the last option, which is interesting. So be interesting.
And you see, when we spoke, I believed it would be Bayern first, because I thought the Bayern job could project him to Madrid. But now Plettenberg thinks another season at Leverkusen, if things went well for Leverkusen, the Champions League, they ended up with a quarter-final or something like that, and we're again in the mix next year in Germany, then all of a sudden he takes the big jump from there to Madrid.
Yeah.
And, so it's tough.
Which kind of makes sense, really, because if he took the Bayern job, he's going to be taking the Bayern job on a 3 to 5 year contract, let's say. So the option of going to Madrid then could be slightly more difficult. I don't think Bayern would just want him in for a year. If you're talking about 2025, is that when Ancelotti steps away? You know what I mean? So it's certainly going to be interesting to see what way it goes. You know what I mean? Then I suppose from our point of view is, if we bring him in on a 3 to 5 year contract, does he go after Real Madrid eventually? Then after us, So it's going to be interesting anyway. So we'll keep
on the plus side. Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte are still available, and so is Solskjaer. I mean, like, he's be sorted with any of them.
Not one of them are getting through the gate.
I'd have snipers sitting on top of the stand that if I seen any one of them get out of the taxi, I'd fucking pick them off in the back of the head.
I wouldn't let them sell hot dogs and curry chips outside
No,
of the stands.
no,
I
not
wouldn't,
a chance.
honestly, it's just
You
horrible.
know,
It is.
when you talked about obviously the level and the standard of the management, I thought about this earlier because I listened obviously to, or I read that Tuchel was going to be Ten Hag's replacement, and I was scratching my head, and I was like, why would we go? Now listen, if Ten Hag doesn't stand the test of time at Old Trafford, I understand that. But how you could then look at Thomas Tuchel, who has done very, very little in his managerial career since he left Dortmund. You know, I think the only trophy he's won since he left Dortmund was maybe the Champions League with Chelsea. Very little else. You know, and to go from that to then being given the gig at United, and I kind of scratched my head and I went, who else could you go for? Because it seems to be, it's the same old faces all the time, you know.
But they're now getting too old and they're drifting off. You see, and it's
but
the same as well. Like, if you even look at the striker situation in Europe at the moment, if you want to go out and buy a striker now, like there's literally, you'd be lucky if you can put 5 together on a list, like, which is mad. Like,
I said this to you a while ago, because this has been on the decline, and you need to really dig very, very deep if you're going to look. And I suppose this is where, like, if we look at what United were able to do so far with Højlund, like, Højlund was a guy that was touted, but he wasn't necessarily the finished article, so to speak. There's a huge punt. You know, United made a huge punt on Højlund. Could I say that he's been an outright success so far? No. Has he been an outright failure? No. He's progressing. He's still a young footballer. There's a lot left for him to learn. There's a lot left for him to prove. The signs are there that the kid can do it. There's signs of life, which is great for us. But I mean, it's going to take some clubs taking that punt on somebody at a 30 to 40 million pound mark, you know, minus the United tax, and obviously, and saying, right, we're going with this guy. He's our guy. And we're going. If you look at Barcelona, they've just spent big money, obviously, on the boy Roque Jr. from Brazil. Now, like, we know, at times Brazilians don't travel very well, but they've had to pin their hopes on this. Real Madrid have pinned a lot of hopes on the boy Endrick. They spent mad money on this kid because there isn't the quality in Europe where they can go him.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the big clubs in Europe don't have out-and-out number 9s who are scoring 25 to 30 goals a season. And that's mental. If you want a little gem right now, if I'm looking for a striker, personally, and I've seen this guy quite a bit, you go and you look at the boy Santiago Jimenez, who plays up front for Feyenoord. Now, he scored tonight against Roma. I think he 30 goals last season for Feyenoord and stuff like that. He's kind of outgrown the project of Feyenoord. Yeah. And he fits the bill of a guy who, you know, that Dutch league turned out some decent strikers over the years that were able to go and then put a career together. He's one of, you know, those group maybe you might look at. But there's a lot of teams where you'd be like, who's their 9?
But then again, if you think about it, to get him out of Feyenoord, what's it going to cost you?
Because it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you 40 to 50 anyway.
Minimum.
40 to 50. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and that's and then you're taking a big punt. Because if you outlay 50 million of your transfer budget on a guy like Jimenez and it doesn't it doesn't happen, how do you recycle that? Because the resale value goes down the toilet, and then for your FFP, you're pissing in the wind again. So it becomes difficult.
Yeah, no, it's a strange. It's like we're in a kind of a watershed moment in terms of football. A lot of these managers are going off now that we revered for years, that were amazing and all. They've gone beyond it at this stage now. And then you're seeing the same thing even with football at the moment in terms of players now. When you look, even going out to buy really, really good, like how difficult is it to find a world class number 6? That's available and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And the thing about the way football has evolved, these are the key positions now that teams are trying to fill. And there's no one out there. You know what I mean? It's very difficult.
I watched something on Sky yesterday. And I'm trying to think who it was. Sorry, it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before. Something on Sky. And they were talking about how it was about the championship. And you were talking about how the promoted sides, so obviously Leicester are top of the league at the minute. I think Southampton are up there second. And then you've got Ipswich and Leeds are the top 4. They're the top 4 at the minute. 2 of them will go up automatically.
Yeah.
2 of them will end up in the playoffs and when we one against it, blah, blah. But they were talking about it in reference to the sides that come up this year. And I think Sheffield United so far have conceded a record number of goals in the league.
Right. For 25 games, yeah.
For 25 games. It's something nuts like 65 goals in 25 games.
Yeah.
And they were saying when it gets to the summertime and clubs are stepping from the Championship to the Premier League, recruitment seems to be driven by attackers, wingers, strikers, goals. And the guy who was talking, I can't remember who it was, and he was like, the first 2 things I buy, if I've just been promoted to the league, is a world-class, top-class goalkeeper who's going to make save after save after save, week after week, keep me in games, earn me points, and I'm going to get a fucking number 6. And if I need to blow all my transfer budget on it, if I can just put something in front of that back 4 to protect, to screen, to keep teams from getting at it. But he said, no, they keep buying right-sided wingers, left-sided wingers, fucking number 10s. Let's get 4 number 9s. Because if they get 10 goals each, we get 40 goals. 40 goals is no use if you concede in fucking 80 goals. You're still losing every game in the fucking league. And I just thought it was an interesting way of looking at it,
Yeah, absolutely. It's we often say it about how strikers win your games, but defenses win your leagues and all that kind of stuff,
100%.
So absolutely.
100%.
What'd you make of this news that broke today earlier on? Dani Alves has been sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for sexual assault. It also includes 5 years of supervised release and incommunication with the victim for 9 years and 6 months. That's a kind of a weird one, isn't it? He will also pay legal costs.
Don't go near the person you sexually assaulted for 9.5 years. But if you get to 9 years and 8 months, it's okay. You can have a chat. What?
It's not just that boggles my mind and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But they will appeal it according to Alves's lawyer. But certainly interesting. But it's some fall from grace actually, because when I was looking at this today, it was interesting. I was going down through the story and stuff like that, and I was looking back at his achievements and everything he achieved in the game and stuff like that and all. He was an outstanding player and stuff like that, and just
an outstanding player who won a phenomenal amount of trophies, and had really good longevity in his career, from Sevilla obviously to Barcelona and stuff like that, and stood the test of time. Like, went through a couple of Barca teams, was phenomenal. I didn't read a whole lot into the story, so I can't really comment on either side of it.
I actually seen on Twitter today as well a number of female football fans who we follow on Twitter, and they follow us back obviously with the podcast, stuff like that. But they were complaining that this was the only image that was being put out there, and the image kind of painted him as nearly being the victim, so to speak. And they weren't happy about it. They were saying, "Oh, is this the only image of this monster?" Kind of thing. It was crazy.
Did they want the orange jumpsuit and the shackles? Like, was that it?
I don't know, but it was just an interesting slant on it when I was listening to it and stuff like that. Because obviously there was loads of other pictures, you know.
We obviously had this conversation in our own group today, and the only thing I will say is, like, I think this is a really tough crime, and because I think it can be very easily slanted one way or the other, and that's not
Yeah.
necessarily to say that the slant means it's true or it's
Yeah.
false. I think it's very, very tough ground, and as Ted obviously in the group said, that's why the conviction rate is so low.
Jesus.
That's why the conviction rate is so low with these crimes, because they're so hard to prove, yet they're so easy to allege.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a strange case. It's a serious fall from grace. Does he get the Benoit treatment? Are we taking him out of history books now, or does he get to stay?
Don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting slant on it, isn't it? Stuff like that. That's what I was looking at today. I was looking at pictures of him and all, and the trophies that he won and the success that he had at the teams he was at and all that. And then I was thinking, this guy's going off now to serve time in possibly some of the hardest prisons in the world in Brazil. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, that must be unbelievable. Like, you're walking out at the new camp or whatever it is, you're revered as a god. And I don't mean the next minute, but you know what I mean. The next minute, then you're behind
Absolutely.
bars in a
Well, I
Brazilian
mean,
prison. You know what I mean?
it's the next chapter of his life. It's the next phase of his life, and like it's you're
But see,
you're going around from driving Ferraris and Lambos,
yeah.
and now you're pushing the book cart.
Well,
like it's.
well, the sad thing about it when this happens as well is, and obviously our thoughts are always with the victims in this case and stuff like that and all.
Absolutely.
But the sad thing about this as well is all that amazing stuff he's done in sport and all those achievements and all that wealth and all that notoriety and stuff like that. This is what you get remembered for.
Absolutely.
None of that. No one, like, when you think about it, in 5 years' time, if we're sitting in a pub having a drink and someone brings up the name Danny Alves, we'll be thinking about the sexual assault. We won't be thinking about the Champions
100%.
Leagues. Won't be thinking about any of that other stuff. That's what we will think about.
I would hazard a guess that probably as we speak, because of the time of night it is, Barcelona have somebody in that stadium taking pictures down off a wall. I would imagine.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It will.
Because don't forget, Barcelona have a huge women's team. Huge. Yeah. And that won't sit very well, at that table. And I don't imagine women will want to walk around the new camp and be reminded of what this guy has achieved on a football pitch if he's done something like that off a football pitch. So I imagine right now, tonight, ahead of tomorrow, they're taking strips of wallpaper down with his face on it and pictures off the wall and changing decor to just, that's what I think, but it's hard to say.
Because I don't think, interestingly enough, I don't think Barcelona didn't release a statement. Sure, they didn't.
Not that I saw.
So it'll be interesting to see if they do. It'll be interesting to see if they do come out with something.
They could be waiting on two things. Number one, they could be waiting on the appeal.
Yeah, true.
And number two, they could be, letting the Flames fan down a little bit before they show their hand. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely, Butcher. We will see. We will keep an eye on it. I was going to get your thoughts on this, but I don't really need it. I think you gave them already. John O'Shea, next Ireland manager potentially.
I'll give you a little nugget. A little nugget.
Go on, sure. Why not?
I'm in a giving humour tonight.
You're in rock mood, are you, with those chicken nuggets for those Cody crybabies?
For those Cody crybabies, yeah. I'll give you a little golden nugget here. I'd give the fucking job to Solskjaer quicker than I'd give it to John O'Shea.
There you go. And he never did that in Ireland.
I'd give you ready? I'm going to keep going. I'd give the job to Thomas fucking Tuchel quicker than I'd give it to John O'Shea. Yeah. And I got one more. Bullet in the chamber. Yeah. I would give it to fucking Vladimir Putin before I'd give it to fucking John O'Shea.
Good Lord. What's the you don't know O'Shea fan at all?
John O'Shea, the footballer, absolutely no problem with him. Did great things at Man United, never let us down. You know, was an integral part of the squad and stuff like that. What has John O'Shea done in management ever, other than being part of Stephen Kenny's backroom staff? The same Stephen Kenny who failed fucking epically, by the way, and showed us nothing as an Ireland manager. So to say you're going to take somebody who sat and watched him and who learned from Stephen Kenny, and we're going to give him the gig, lads, stop, will you?
See, the issue when we spoke about it before, the issue for me on this whole thing is it's who fits the budget. It's not who's the best man for the job.
Absolutely.
And that's the issue here.
It's all about paper.
And apparently that's what happened with Chris Coleman the other day. They couldn't agree the package. And it wasn't his package. It was the package for his backroom staff. Fell short. And then it fell apart.
How fucking embarrassing is that?
I know, yeah.
How embarrassing that as a national association, we agreed a deal with Chris Coleman and we couldn't agree a deal with his fucking backroom staff. What were we haggling over a masseuse like, or what's the story?
I don't know. It's weird. I don't think these guys have a penny. I don't think so. I even think somewhere along the line, Kenny's money was being propped up from elsewhere.
You know,
I really do believe it.
The thing we spoke about the other day, and the really disappointing part of this whole thing is, if we were getting Chris Coleman, we were getting Charlotte Jackson. So it's a bit upsetting that we're not getting Chris anymore, because that means Charlotte's staying in the valleys with Chris, and that's upsetting.
True. Yeah,
that's upsetting. Absolutely. You know.
Right, so we do beat the bookie.
Let's. Hear me wife coughing over there. Just let me know she listens to me. Okay. Do you know what I did? I really did my homework this week. I did 3 bets this week.
Tell you. Right. You're out doing yourself.
I'm telling you. I'll give you me shortest price first.
Which bet is this now?
This is my goal scorer bet.
Okay, I'll just click into mine so I can check mine against yours.
I've scaled things back ever so slightly, and I'm just going for a cheeky treble.
Okay.
Returned to form last weekend, got his goal, Ollie Watkins.
Okay.
I can only describe this guy as a machine. Because this guy, for me, he seems like he's always injured. He plays almost every game. And he does the business 90% of the time. I am a huge Bukayo Saka fan. Huge, genuinely. I know you think I'm messing. I love this kid. I think he's everything you want as a footballer. And if I'm Marcus Rashford, I need to start looking at Bukayo Saka.
Really? Interesting.
100%. Genuinely. Well, I mean, like, his stats are off the fucking charts now.
Yeah.
His stats are off the charts. If Rashford had the stats that Saka has, with all the hype that, United fans and England fans blow up his hole, if Rashford had the stats that Saka has, he'd be a footballer. But he doesn't. And he hasn't got fucking half them. So I'm a big Saka fan. Really, really am.
Do you know what it is? I think a lot of the praise he doesn't get, because I think a lot of his form comes in clusters again. I think he can go on a really, really good run for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games, and then suddenly there's this gap of 4, 5, 6 games where he kind of seems average. Now, I don't mean in terms of work rate and all that kind of stuff. I mean in terms of, final result, if you like, as opposed to work rate. So
I think he is absolutely magical. And do you know something? If you play fantasy football, yeah, Saka is the second highest scoring midfielder in the game. Now, when you play fantasy football, it's completely stats based. Would we all agree on that? You get points for goals, assists, clean sheets, performances, the whole shooting match. So the fact that he's the second highest scorer in the league, like, that's fucking outrageous. And Arsenal fans crib and moan about this kid. Arsenal fans crib and moan about this kid.
It's not actually about the kid. They actually crib about how much he's used and that Arteta isn't managing him properly. Because he really, because if you look most seasons with Bukayo Saka as well, his first say, if you have a, let's say for argument's sake, it's a 10-month season, right? For argument's sake, he has a brilliant 7 months, and then those last 3 months he just dies because he's ran into the ground. There's nothing left in him.
But nothing to do with him and not his fault.
Absolutely, but that's what I mean, and I think that's where Arsenal fans give out. It's not necessarily him; it's necessarily the management of him.
But he still shows up and he still puts absolutely everything into it. And he still creates and he still scores and I think he's fucking phenomenal. I got to be honest with you. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to whisper this. Because, Cheap Heat's probably listening, right? I'm going to whisper this. Possibly. I'm going to whisper this. Morris, Bukayo Saka deserves better than Arsenal. He deserves better.
Could happen. Mo Salah could be exiting the building. Just saying, and I think you did mention him before in that circle, didn't you?
I did. And Mo Salah is the only midfielder in fantasy football who has more points now. He has 8 more points now. So you would be replacing like for like. You would be replacing goal involvements.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to replace. He doesn't have to score the goals. He can assist them. And it works both sides. And he does score goals as well, by the way. And he's a great footballer. And his work rate is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's not a fucking prima donna like Marcus Rashford. He's a win.
There you go. Right. I take it he's in your goal scorer bet then, yeah?
Sure we've got Ollie Watkins and we've got Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
And I've got a third little stab at Marcus Rashford. I've got a third little stab at him. Because obviously our goals of late have come from the boy Højlund.
Yeah.
However, I firmly believe there's another lad at this club who won't enjoy someone else getting all the limelight, and it will push this kid to reach those levels because I think he has it in him.
Okay.
Right. And I think this weekend my third goal scorer will be Alejandro Garnacho. Because I think this kid fancies himself. And I think he wants to be the big man. Right? I think he looks around and I think he thinks, I want to lead this. Or, the same way, because we know he's a Ronaldo fanboy. And we know he'll eventually go and play for Real, I'm sure. But I think this is him looking and going, well, for me to get to that level, I have to do it here first, the way Ronaldo did. I've got to learn my trade, and then I've got to go and win stuff with this team and dominate and put myself in there. And I think the kid takes a lot of pride in himself. So I've got Garnacho to get back on the score sheet this weekend, because I think he won't love the fact that Højlund's getting the goals and Højlund's getting the rub and everyone's looking at Højlund. I think he'll go, hold on a fucking minute here. I'm here too. And I like that, by the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there you're 3. What's the odds on that one?
18-1.
18-1, is it?
18, yeah.
18, not bad. Will I give you my goal scorer one then, just for comparable?
Sure.
My goal scorer one is worth 152-1, and I have 4. So
there's a couple of rough diamonds in here if it's 150-1. There's
do you know something? There's not too many. And even when you look at the rough diamond, it's not a stretch.
Right, go on.
You back?
I'm
This
here.
internet is playing up tonight.
Go on, talk to me.
Yeah, so my first one is Awoni off Forest, who are playing Aston Villa,
Got one last weekend. That's
and he's
okay.
back. It's not bad.
And he's back. We like the kid.
I went with Rasmus for United against Fulham.
Again, not a stretch at all.
I went for Anthony Gordon for Newcastle against Arsenal.
That's one of your bigger prices, if not the biggest.
Yeah,
He's probably,
true.
what's he, 7-2?
7-2.
Good, am I?
Not bad at all.
Right, yeah. And again, don't forget, if Wilson and Isaac are still out, he'll also take the penalties.
There you go. So not a
Right.
bad show.
No.
And then my final one is Pascal Gross off Brighton against Everton.
So Gross is your highest price.
He's the same as Gordon, 7-2.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. So I've got 23 to 10 for Awoni. I've got 13 to 10 for Rasmus, and then 2 7-2s.
Yeah. There you listen. The lads are going to score goals. It's just whether they all manage to fall in on the same day. That's all. But listen, it's got to be worth a fiver, hasn't it?
It's great odds for those four. I think it's great odds, and it's you know they're scoring. If you look at them, they all kind of seem in form. Pascal Gross seems to be picking up goals even for Brighton in the last few weeks as well. You know,
Goals and
and
assists,
especially against an Everton side that tend to cough up goals from set pieces as opposed to open play because they're normally quite structured.
Yeah.
So could happen. Interesting one. Right, give us your next one.
Result and both to score. My favourite bet of the week.
Oh, I think I have this as well, don't I? Let's see.
So United at home to Fulham.
Okay.
Brighton at home to Everton.
Okay.
And then Arsenal at home to Newcastle.
Interesting.
That's my treble.
Yeah, I did a treble on this one. What does that pay?
22s.
Well, mine is paying 122 to 1. I went big this week.
You must have
I did a treble as well.
You must have Fulham, Newcastle, and Brighton, did you?
I didn't. I'll tell you what I went. I went result and both the score, right? And I went Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, both the score and a draw.
Oh, a draw. Okay.
And then I went Brighton and Everton, both the score and a draw. And then I rounded it out with Arsenal versus Newcastle, both the score
and a draw. Okay.
Draw. And you've got a 4-1, a 7-2, and a 9-2, giving you 123 to 1 nearly.
Yeah, them's big odds, man.
They are big odds. I went all in this week.
Maybe keep that fiver. Maybe make a tenner on the goal scorers and keep that fiver.
Maybe. I don't know.
And it's funny you should say that because I told you earlier in the message, I said, I did 2 trebles and a double, right? And my double was result in both the score, Palace and Burnley, a draw, and Wolves and Sheffield United, a draw. So I was thinking along a similar line.
Interesting.
Result in both the score and a draw in the Palace and in the Wolves game. That pays 24 to 1 for the double.
Yeah. What do I have on this? Then my only other bet then was I did a treble, and it's the same thing as the result about the score. 3 draws in the 3 games, regardless of the scoring. And that pays you 82 to 1.
Okay. And the same 3?
Exact same, yeah. Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, Everton, and Aston Villa, Forest.
Very good. Very good.
Jared's telling us that Roma going to a penalty shootout.
Roma is going to a penalty shootout.
AW just announced that AW versus New Japan.
Forbidden Door, baby, will be coming from Arthur Ashe
Forbidden
Stadium.
Door will be coming
Arthur Ashe in New York.
Very good. There you
I've
go.
been there. I've been to Arthur Ashe.
Oh, that's right. You were there, weren't you?
I was
That's
there at
right.
the tennis, yeah.
You were there.
Having
The tennis, yeah.
I'm having a bit of a time, but like if the truth be known. Arthur Ashe for the tennis. I'm in the Stadio Olimpico the other day. Was at the Open last year and going back to the Open this year. Like I'm winning at life. Like I'm doing all right here, thank God.
You're not doing too bad, as they say.
Going to Anfield soon as well, am I?
We are indeed. I have the Trent jersey there ready for you. Right, well, super show as always, folks. Thanks to everyone who was in the chat tonight. Let us know your thoughts and your predictions as well. Don't forget, check out Pro Wrestling Weekly last night that we did. Sorry, we did it on Tuesday, I should say. We have a competition running there as well. Drop your Elimination Chamber predictions for the chance to win baseball caps, t-shirts, all that kind of good stuff that we give away. I will be back tomorrow night with a Carabao Cup final preview, if you'd be so happy to join me. And of course, we'll be checking in throughout the weekend with results and all the rest of the stuff coming through. So drop a subscribe on the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Cheers, bro.
Thanks, brother.